Hello and welcome. I am again looking at SOVL, and this video I want to look at the race of the Reptilian Kingdoms. So I wanted to do a quick run through on the different unit types and what I like, and maybe a couple of my builds at the end. Um, so Reptilian Kingdoms are one of the armies I really started off with in ranked play. I really enjoyed them. Uh, there's they've recently had enough, which they needed because they were a bit bloody good. Um, but yeah, so let's get into it. Uh, let's start by looking at the heroes. You've got two heroes: the Note Priest, the caster, particularly weak in stat line, but generally you don't need a stronger stat line than caster. And then the Warlord, who is quite a tanky boy. He's got high defense, relatively standard hero stat line apart from that. So we'll start with the priest. So we'll only look at unique retinues for characters, not we'll cover all the units later. So the new priest, she's got some okay, yeah, no, pretty decent spell access. So divine favor is generally not great. Arcane Web is interesting. Now got two charges, so could be useful. Radiant Shield, rerolling saves can be very good to win you a combat. Primal Fury is excellent, consistent damage output, +1 power and rerolling attacks is really nice. You pay for it in the price, and Fireball is a spiky damage ranged. I mean, if you roll a d6, so you do it twice, so if you get two highs on those d6s, it's a really good spell, and if you get two lows and they save a few, it's a not worth it spell. So yeah, that's the new priest. Okay, I struggle to write lists with him at the moment. Um, and then the other piece, who I think is the better out of the two, is the Saurian Warlord. So the reason I think he's better is not especially because of him. He's got a decent stat line, and you can equip him with a few weapons. Great weapon for strength, or hand weapons. Two hand weapons for an extra attack. Um, and he comes with Warcry, so you can +1 power for a round to all his units. So two hand weapons, great weapon, or just hand weapons for shield to keep him cheap are all very valid options. But the best thing about him is the Tyrannosaur, which is a big old beastie. I really like this piece. He's 6 attacks, 6 wounds, 6 power, and it becomes 7 power on the charge because of fangs. He's fearless, so he's likely to stand, and with the leadership 8 warlord, he will likely stand um, if he does get beaten in combat. And he's swift, movement 12, so 13 with swift. Decent speed, not amazing, but like he is a big tanky boy, and he will kill some stuff. He is the cannonball of the lizards, because you charge him into a giant or anything big. You could pop Warcry, and then suddenly this Tyrannosaur is power 8 on the charge. So yeah, do like him a lot. Uh, okay, so onwards and to battle line next. So here we have a few options. I'm just going to run through one in turn. So the Saurian warriors. Let's start with those, and we'll do the Saurian spears at the same time because the stat line is the same. It's just the weapon choice is different. So skill 3, power 4, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, 8 discipline. Tanky boys, 10 points a model. They are very tanky. Uh, Spears, you should only take spears if you're going to run a block with depth. So 15 but that's getting very expensive. And I generally am not too big a fan of the Saurians because they lack consistent output. They're not high skill. so hit most things on fours, and they have good power and good defense. So the Saurian uh, warriors with hand weapon shield are strength are power 5 on the charge, which is very nice. But when you're getting 10 attacks, you're relying a lot on hitting those attacks, and you're probably hitting on fours. So it's a dicey game. If that rolls badly, you're probably not doing anything. And defense 5 is nice, but if somebody's power 3, you get a 3-up save. So, and a lot of things are power 3. So it's not one of those like linchpin points. But yeah, so generally not the biggest fan of those boys. So, uh, what else we got in here? The Croclus Bruisers. Now these are an interesting piece. I like them more than the Saurians. They are monstrous infantry, so they're a bit faster. They come with power. You can run. Yeah, no, it's just great weapons. They come with defense 5 because of scaly skin. Um, and power 5 because great weapon, power 6 on the charge, and that's what I think makes the difference with them. They are 30 points model, but they get 3 attacks, 3 wounds, so they're effectively same points per wound and attack as the Saurians. Their weakness is their multi-wound, so they can be shot by things like cannons that do lethal wounds, uh, do take them down much quicker, but um, they just have that pip of extra strength, and they're also faster. Scaly skin slows them down, but they're monstrous infantry, so they move 12 base or 11. So they're a decent speed. They can get on objectives nice and quick, and they have a hell of a hit with the great weapon. So I do quite like these boys. And then finally we go on to the uh, Newt Braves, which are by far the weakest, but the best bang for buck. So it's a horrendous stat line with skill 3, power 4, power 2 even, defense 3, 1 attack, 1 wound, 7 discipline. Not bad discipline for their cost. Hammer and shield makes them strength 3 on the charge. Strength 3 is a very important break point because strength 2 means defense 5 people get 2-up save, which is not a good feeling. Um, but yeah, but the thing is, they're only 60 points, so we're talking 4 points a model. They are fast with Swift, and you can like use them as a very effective screen if you run them wide, and you can. Yeah, I mean, that's not a terrible amount of attacks out of Strength 3. Discipline 7 means they have a decent chance to hold a close combat or rally after they have run away. You can also give them javelins. Javelins are range 8, power 3 shot. So if you can just throw javelins at someone and not fight them, it's quite possibly better because power 2 in combat, power 3 javelins. Um, but yeah, no, I like this unit. It's so cheap and it's bang for buck. And you can use it to protect your big dinosaurs if you run it wide like this. So set up with the dinosaurs behind them, run at an enemy, and then the dinosaurs come out to fight without being too shot up, and it's just the new Braves you've lost a few of. Okay, so that's the core options. Now we move into fast attack. So we have the Raptor Riders. Raptor Riders, I mean, they're effectively exactly the same as the Saurian Warriors. Skill 3, power 4, defense 5, hand weapon shield to get +1 strength on the charge, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, so it's staying per per wound you get 1 attack, and so they're effectively exactly the same. Their only thing is they're a bit faster because they have move 16 base because they are mounted. And you pay for this with 5 extra points, so 1 extra point per uh, 21 points per model on these boys, and they're solid. They're fine. Again, vulnerable to lethal shot because multi-wound, but they have speed. So yeah, I'm not in love with these guys, but I'm not massively against them. And then we have the pterodactyl riders. These are an interesting piece. They are quite the glass cannon grenade. So with You get skill 3, power 4 with hand weapons, so power 5 on the charge. They're flying, so move 20 and ignore terrain. Means no cover, so you've got to really look after these boys, but they can pack a punch, strength 5 on the charge. 3 attacks, 2 wounds, so that is a major vulnerability. They die real quick and real easy at defense 3, defense 7, which is not great, but fine. Um, so yeah, no, these are quite the grenade. If you are running them, you want to put them behind your units if you think you're getting shot at all. Just these guys go down to shooting, and at some stage you probably want to accept their loss in a game, but you want to trade them for something. So you pop them out. You say, okay, I'm going to charge this unit into big old monster, or like your lord on hippogriff, and I'm not expecting to win. I'm not expecting to win and come out the side with any of these boys, but if I can hurt him or kill him, uh, that that is the win. They are quite cheap at 75 points for the unit, so 25 points per model. They are not the most expensive piece in the world. They just die to shooting or like any kind of attacks really. They die very easily. Okay, so now to the range support. You've got the Newt Braves. So these are just little newty boys with bows, short bows, so 20-inch range. Not the shortest, not longest. So you have to be a bit careful because they can be very easily threatened. But they're swift and scout, so they can run around woods with Scout, so it ignores difficult terrain, and Swift, decent movement, and short bows, power 3. So you never want to get combat because this is the terrible stat line. Skill 3, power 2, defense 2 means they die to anything. Um, Generally, yeah, don't want to fight with them, but just throw out a few shots. They are relatively cheap still, 60 points for 10, so that's yeah, 6 points a model. It is quite cheap for a shooting unit. Um, yeah, I think they're okay. They can have a space, but I'm afraid they don't really compete still with the lizard in this section. Recently stopped people taking 2, which was really good. It was needed taking away. It was just a bit too good. But he did get a little buff, but he also went up in points. And I think in general it was a fairly strong nerf, but needed. So I'm not unhappy about it as much as it's hurt my lists. So skill 3 is power 4, defense 4, attacks 4, 5 wounds, 8 discipline. And Fang, so +1 power on the charge. And being a monster infantry, he's moved 12. Um, it's an okay stat line. It's probably not worth the cost, but his thing is Fire Breath, which is a short range, 12 inches, but 2d3 power 5 shot, which is very nice. So if and like so, he still fights pretty well. Not amazing, but he can have a fight at pinch. But what you want to do is try and repeatably use fire breath to burn people, soften up targets, and hopefully remove important wounds, and then he can fight something if it's depleted enough, or he can serve as a I need to pin down that unit, or I need to protect a flank. And I don't expect him necessarily to win the fight, but he can hold someone up. So that is what I think he's really good at. And like, yeah, I do really like the piece. You used to be able to run 2, it was amazing. 1 is plenty. 60 points feels, I don't know. No, maybe it's about right. Okay, and then finally we go into the tank of the army, which is the Triceratops. 110 points, so it's a big, expensive boy. Um, for that, you get a giant-esque piece, so a fearless piece, which is his most important feature. He ignores all discipline penalties, so he will always be testing at discipline 9. And as skill lines, skill 3, so not great. Power 5, pretty good. Defense 7 is amazing. And then 4 attacks is relatively poor. 8 wounds, though, means he's hanging around for a long old time. And discipline 9, again, means he shouldn't flee. He's got a few shots, 4 power 3 shots at the top. It's fine little extra. And horns, so he gets +1 attack and +1 power on the charge. That's suddenly strength 6 and 5 attacks. It's like, it's power 6. It's good. But the main thing is he will stop pretty much anything. So defense 7 is amazing because it means, like, pretty much the only thing that's getting uh, him saving badly is either a hex or a cannonball. Um, Everything else means he is saving 3s or 2s. Defense power 4 is quite common, and if he is saving on 2s, he should hang around for a good long time and slowly grind down some opposition, or just hold up an important unit as and when you need him to. So yeah, really like this piece. Um, an excellent roadblock that allows you to try and work around the edge and win the rest of the fights while you're holding up the important enemy unit in the middle, maybe. And excellent for sitting on objectives. So now I'm going to have a quick look at a couple of my lists. So let us look at my favourite at the moment of the Reptilian Kingdoms, which is this one. I'll call it New Dino. It's a bit of a mix, and this is going down one of the routes I spoke about before. It is simply 2 Newt Braves. They lead the charge. I've run them wide to give maximum screen potential. They aren't expected to win fights, but their job is to screen from fire. And in the meantime, the teeth of the list are the pterodactyls, which fly over, try and pick a target. If I'm going second, if I'm going first, they will hang back until I get a number of charges off, is what I'm trying to do with them. And then you've got your big old Saurian warlord and his dinosaur. Doesn't need any extras, I don't think, on him, because he just, like, his dinosaur is what does the damage. The Tyrannosaur is amazing. And then you've got the Triceratops to stop things, and again, yeah, just hold up a unit and slowly try and grind it out, and the Fire Lizard to try and do fire damage, and another maneuverable piece. So I'll generally set up with the Newt Braves in the front and all the dinosaurs behind it or behind woods to try and protect them from enemy fire, advance for a couple of turns, moving on to the objective to try and, if there is one, to contest or score it, and then go for a bigger charge turn, utilizing Warcry to pop up the strength of anyone and everyone here to win the important fights. So I have written also a Newt list. I am not massively happy with this. This is I used to have a one I really liked, but now we're on to one, and I'm just trying to work this one out since the nerf to Fire Lizard, because I felt like the list really lent on them. So what I've gone with here is a Radiant Shield, uh, which allows a enemy target unit to reroll their saves, and then some tanky Saurian units. So the idea behind it is to advance with the units. The pterodactyls need to stay behind. They need to hide because they will die horribly to shooting. But if you stick them behind the Saurian warrior, 2 Saurian warrior blocks that advance turn by turn, they and you pop them out on an opportune time, so they come out when they see a good opportunity to charge a war machine and not get shot, and or something like that. Uh, that is why they're riding the riders, and they're cheap. So two of them only cost 50, but you've got to babysit those boys. You've got Fire Lizard again, bit of damage, decent flank, and then your faster attack, but essentially just more Saurian warriors, um, which to come in there. And yeah, the idea is to just put in the Saurians, use Radiant Shield to keep to effectively try and lose very few models, win combats. By not taking damage, and then grind out or make your opponent flee. So yeah, there you go. Those are my two current favourite lists. And yeah, the Reptilian Kingdoms. Please let me know what you think of the Reptilians. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the ranked ladder.